And what we're going to talk about is doing the preparedness for 2020 on what you need to do as a citizen to prepare yourself for what's happening with the hurricanes coming through and what the city's going to do. So this year is going to be a different type of season. Last year, we've had our regular hurricane seasons. The following years before that, we've had our regular hurricane seasons, but now we have to deal with COVID. COVID has pretty much weakened our state, weakened the people. So when we prepare for a hurricane season now, it's going to be more like a double time to work harder and to work more diligently and safely. So the scary possibility is when you have COVID-19 running through and we're taking all these precautions to stay safe, and we have a Category 5 coming down the barrel, pretty much what Irma went through when it came up the middle of the state. So what we have to do is make sure that we prepare. Actually, we should have been preparing for this last year instead of preparing for it now, but since we're in a predicament we're in now, we got to start preparing now, and we got to prepare for next year also. So I want everyone to take a seat, take in mind that last year was different. This year's totally off the scale different, and we need to prepare for next year also this year. Don't be complacent. I know a lot of us we get complacent a lot on different things, especially with too many situations coming up with either COVID, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, anything like that. But with COVID here, we got to make sure that we still have our PPE. We got to make sure we still stay away from people. Do our social distancing at 6 foot. And remember that during a hurricane, because if a hurricane does come through and you are locked down in your home, you want to make sure you still are doing those same things, because if you're trapped in your house, it's even more that you're going to get COVID if it should come through your house by either having visitors over during a hurricane and they're trapped in the house with you. So you already pretty much, if you're not from Florida, we get hurricanes and we have a category system, and it's 1 through 5. Typically here in Florida, we get we'll hit the 5 coming into Florida, and then once it gets to Florida, then it'll die. Once it hits the land, then it'll die down to a 3 to 2 or 2 to 1. So we don't really get the 5s a lot that come through the state. It always slows down. But on a Category 1, 74 to 95 mile an hour winds, those are dangerous winds. We don't go as fire and EMS. When we have sustained winds at 35 to 40 miles an hour, we do not go out for emergencies. The calls come in, depends on what the emergency is. If it's a very serious emergency, we might be able to get with Mount Dora Police Department and borrow their Bearcat, or they'll drive us to the call if we have to get there. But at a Category 1, you want to stay home and you don't want to leave your house at all. When they do evacuations, if you're too close to, say, Lake Dora or to an area where you have high water, they're going to tell you that it's time for you to evacuate. If you don't evacuate, stay. Don't try to evacuate during a hurricane or right before a hurricane. Once you get that chance to evacuate, just keep it at that. So keep it simple when it comes to preparing. The way I look at it is how I tell everybody with preparing. You want to make sure that you have your basic essentials. You want to have your snacks, non-perishable snacks. You want to have your batteries so you can charge your phones, or not your phones, your flashlights, charge your lanterns if you have them, radios especially so you can hear what's going on. What I like to do is I have a batch of radio communications, like walkie-talkies, and I keep 3 in my house, and I give 1 to each of my neighbors across the street. In case something happens, we can't get to each other on the phone, they see outside what's going on with a tree falling on my house or something like that, then we can talk to each other and we can keep each other safe. Do the same thing here in Mount Dora. Everyone needs to keep the communication with each other, have each other's back, and just make sure that everyone's all right, especially with your family members. With your cell phones, make sure you charge them. Make sure you have extra charging bases if you can, and make sure that you have plenty of water for every individual in the house. As I said before, charging your phones and extra batteries, that is a must. If you have 3 phones, make sure you have those fully charged up, and you have backup battery power blocks, which you get at Walmart for $15-20. Those things are very much, they do well. So if your phone is dead and you plug it in, it will charge your phone back up, and you're pretty much good to go for that cycle. But you always want to make sure that you have that extra battery. That's why the walkie-talkies are very key, because if you have no more battery life and no more power, the walkie-talkies would be your resort where you go back and forth. Plus, you can change the batteries out really quickly with brand new batteries. Now, before the storm, and then after the storm, your department, the Mount Dora Fire Department, and the incoming units will have some typical. We'll have Tavares come in here. We'll have Eustis, and we'll also have Lake County Fire Department come in here, since we all do closest unit, and we're all here to help you. But Mount Dora Fire Department and the police department, we're all here to help. So stay put, be safe. So public safety, that involves the police, the fire, and the dispatch. When we have a hurricane or any kind of emergency in Mount Dora, we as a group are here for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you. But here's the caveat. We need you to help yourselves and to help us. Stay inside before and during, before a storm, and then during and then after the storm. You want to gather all your family members when the hurricane is approaching to your vicinity. Get into the most center part of your home. You want to stay away from all the windows, stay away from the doors, and you want to get to pretty much listen to the radio for any kind of updates, because sometimes the hurricane does change, and they haven't narrowed it down where the track is always going to go. It's always going to change, so you got to make sure that you know what's going on. And then don't go outside. Outside is definitely dangerous. You'll hurt yourself even worse. So the question I always get is, what happens if the hurricane's here and my husband, my wife, my kids, something happens where there's an emergency that you have to call 911. First thing you want to do is stay calm, because you don't want to work up whoever's hurt and whoever's in the family members, especially little kids. Stay calm. And then when you call 911, tell them everything that's going on. Don't miss anything, because when you're talking with somebody on the phone, there's always that chance of missing something. If the dispatcher misses it, then we're going to miss it, and then we can't understand exactly what's going on, especially if it's going to take longer to get to you. But we'll try to get you in the most quickest and safest way possible during the storm. After the storm has left your area, we're still in that danger zone. The debris and down power lines are still very dangerous and still might be live. Listen to the radio for any news in the area that, if it's safe for you to go outside. More than likely, they're going to tell you to stay at home and not get in your car. If you're outside your home, they're going to tell you to work on the outside of your home, get things cleared up on your yard, or even sometimes in a roadway if you remove small debris. It's not the big debris. The Mount Dora Public Safety and Public Works Department and the Water Department and even the Street Department, they'll be out and they'll be trying to restore power. They'll be getting all the trees out of the roadway and trying to get everything going back in order the way that we have always done. But don't drive. People always want to get in their car, drive to see what the wreckage is, and they don't understand that the lights aren't working. You got one car coming this way, you got another car coming this way, and boom. Vehicle accidents, we always run on those, and then you have emergency vehicles coming through, and it's just a recipe for destruction. So do not drive. Start checking on your families and friends. So once you got the power, or once the storm has passed, you want to make sure you check for your families and friends that are around you, make sure that everyone's all right. There's lots of times where people forget to do that because they're worried about what's going on with them right now, with what's going on in the situation. And then people are trying to take tabs on their other family members, and they don't get a hold of anybody, and the phones go down again, and they can't get a hold of somebody. So make sure you either text if you can, call. If you can get your email up or internet up real quick, do that. Just make sure that everyone's okay, so then there's not a lot of public safety people trying to find your lost loved one that you think is lost when they're all right. You just got to make sure you check on that. I have a list up here for shelters, locations in Lake County. And typically every year you'll see this list. If you go down to Lake County City Government.org, I believe it is, you can pull up their list of where all the shelters are here in Lake County. They have a list for where pets are pet friendly, so you can bring your pet to the shelters. They have all the public shelter lists for different individuals. When you go to these locations for your shelters, make sure you bring all your medication for yourself, for your family members and for your pets, because they don't have medication there. And if your pet needs something, everyone's always curious about that. Bring all the medication with you can. The list goes for the public shelters, Lake County, and then you have public and pet friendly, and then you have public and pet friendly and special needs. So for the fire department, a little summary on what you want to do before a storm. So before a storm, let's get your property secured properly. Put the window braces on, put the boards up, make sure that all the debris that's in your house or around your house, make sure it's in one area and tied down and secured. After you get done with that, you want to make sure that you take some gallons of water, freeze them. While you have electricity, you need to have frozen products in your freezer, so then when the power does go out, you can keep all the stuff that's cold that you need to keep cold, so it doesn't go bad and all your money goes down the drain. Make sure that you fill up your gas tank for your cars. Take extra gas cans with you. Go fill those up, because the gas stations are going to get packed, and they're going to get packed fast. Make sure you go to the bank. I always say $100 per week, and if you're going to do 2 to 4 weeks, try $400. Have $400 cash with you at all times. All your documents and stuff, the old way of doing it was take all your documents and put them all together, put them into a firebox, and put them into a closet by your front door. Yes, you can still do that, and yes, I would like you to do that part, but scan them. You have these phones now that can scan them. Scan your IDs. Scan all your birth certificates, your social securities, everything that's important that will, if it does get lost in a fire or get lost into a storm, it's all scanned, it's all stored on your phone. And really, it's not stored in the phone, it's stored in the cloud. So therefore, it's not going to go anywhere. So that way you'll always have it. And last, just stay safe and make sure that you understand that we're here to help you. So if something should happen, just call us and be prepared. We're going to be there. We're not going to forget about you. We're all good to go.